The best way to have a strong sense of self is to ask yourself questions that challenge who you are or question who you are, doing that over a period of time. Having questions like, who are you when you lose? Who are you when you win? How do you act when you're in charge? How do you act when you have nothing? Who are you when you have everything handed to you? Who are you when you're in the midst of competition? When you're in struggle? When you're in abundance? When you're in the opposite of abundance? A lot of having the sense of self comes down to choice, comes to deliberate focus as to who you are, who you want to become. Because a lot of the time, there's not a lot of things standing in our way from the version of who we want to become with who we are in the moment. There's usually a couple of important shifts that you would need to make in order to be that person now. Because to be that kind of person who you want to be, to have the sense of self that you want to have, you need to have a certain habits and certain mindset and just apply that over time. Because instead of just being that person for one moment, just for one small bit at a time, you would be that person all the time. So that would be creating a state of being rather than just being focused on, am I that person this second or in the next second? And also what's going to happen is that you're going to fall out of that. Even if you become that person, if you become in the state of the being or state of self that you want to be in, you will get knocked out of that because that's human nature. So the skill set to build for those cases is how to get back on the horse after you get knocked off. And there's tons of people who spend years just staying off the horse or being scared to hop back on because they don't practice these kinds of skills. But that's what you want to do. Ask yourself these questions of when things are really easy, when things are really hard. Who are you? Who are you in that person? What do you need in order to be that person now? And what you do is you make a decision, just like we spoke about in the other video. You make a decision as to what is truly needed to be that person now. What else do you need to do more of? Or what else do you need to cut more out of in your life? Or who do you need to stop being around? Or who do you need to be around more? And all these things are decisions. So when you lose your way as to who you are in terms of your sense of self, or when you're trying to create a new sense of self, understand that it is always a decision that is executed over time on a consistent basis, and that creates the state. You create the identity. And then you all of a sudden start creating outcomes associated with that identity. So remember that. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling like you lost your sense of self, you're okay. You're lost, but you can create the sense by staying with yourself, by having the time to be alone and focusing yourself on what the answers are for these questions. And if you don't know what the answers are to these questions, that's simply because you haven't made a decision yet. And if you don't know what to do to make a decision, just keep taking more time to answer the question over time. Not all the answers will come right away, but it will come as long as you keep paying attention and keep practicing these questions, keep practicing these answers, and keep practicing the implementation of it. And that's what creates a state. That's what creates a true sense of self.